Welcome back everybody, and welcome to Let's Go Detecting. Today we're going to be talking about the settings I use on the Nokta Legend. These are my go-to baseline settings. They give me a fundamental foundation, so when I hit the field or the beach, I know I'm in a good place to start with, and I need to tweak occasionally should the need arise. So sit back and let me take you through those settings. Okay everybody, as you can see, the machine is turned on and these are my baseline settings to start with. So I am in field mode. I have my discrimination at G for ground. So it just notches out the first two segments. And I'm running the frequency of M2. My sensitivity will be usually around about the 20 to 24 mark, but as I'm indoors, I've got it cranked down to 4 to stop any interference on the video. So let's go into the background settings for this mode on field. So we'll hit the settings button and we'll go across to recovery speed. I have this set at 7. I like the fast recovery that the machine can do, especially with the LG24 coil. Not an awful lot's going to be hidden with that setup. So in the background menu for this one, we have the IF settings. So this is your iron filter. I like mine really low. I like to open the machine up as much as possible while still having a slight audio clip if I've got a good target next to some iron. So I have mine running at 1. The stock setting is 8, to give you an example of how much I've cranked it down. Moving across, I have my stability at 2. If I find the machine is chattering slightly, I can bring the stability up to bring that chatter down. So I'll bring it up to about a 3 or a 4 potentially. But so far I've had no dramas of an IF of 1 and stability of 2. Bottle cap rejection is at 0. Ground suppression is also at 0. And I have my deep target identifying at 2. I just like that slight depth it gives you, so that's why I keep it at 2. So moving on to volumes, I have my volume set at 4. And that's the volume for the unit that comes through your headset, for your headphones or through the speaker. It's not the individual tone volumes, that comes later. And the submenu for that one will give you the audio gain. I also have audio gain at 4. Now audio gain allows you to hear clearly the deep targets, the very small faint targets, just brings them up slightly in the frequency and the audio sound. If you have it too high, then you won't be able to identify a deep target as opposed to a shallow target. They'll just sound the same. Again, personal preference. Moving across to the tones. Now, I have this set at the moment as 2-tone. It's a mix at the moment between this and 6-tone. I like 6 tones because you can identify what you're actually doing by the audio sound. But at the moment, I quite like the idea of the 2-tone, either a dig or don't dig scenario. And then I'll use the ferro bar and the VDI as a guide as to whether to dig or not. So I've got my volumes set as this. So my iron grunt will come in at a volume 3. And everything else is a volume 10. So it's going to be low, squeak, low, squeak. So basically for me, it's dig, don't dig. It's kind of just binary system, really. Then my frequencies, I have 1 for the iron and 22 for everything else. So it's a real contrast between the two options, dig, don't dig. And then finally, we're looking at the tone break settings, which I've got 0 to 11 will come up with the iron grunt, and from 12 onwards will come up with a dig grunt or a dig squeak. So that's why I just like this at the moment. If I went to 6, I'd use the stock breaks and frequencies. It just allows me to have a different time, different sound in each area. It's personal preference. Halfway through a hunt I may change it. It's just up to how I feel on the day. So at the moment I'm quite enjoying the 2-tone, just that simple yes no option, and then it gives me a bit of fun to find out if I've actually found something worth or not. I'm not going to miss anything by doing it that way, put it that way. And that's the basic settings that I've got set for field. So we'll come out of that and we'll go across to beach mode. Now, beach mode, so you can see where they are, beach mode. I have ferro discrimination, so I'm using the F preset, so everything up to 10 is discriminated out. I'm not too worried about iron on the beach. I'm using multi-wet because most of the sand is highly salt content on the UK beaches that I detect on. Most of the tide comes right in and goes right out again. So it's not as if I'm using dry sand areas that haven't got a high salt content. So I use multi-wet as opposed to, oh, let's go to the right one, as opposed to multi-dry. So let's go into the settings and see how they differ to what I use on the field. Again, recovery speed, as I said before, I like this at quite high recovery speed. The LG24 punches way beyond its size for depth. And the difference I found between this coil and say the DTEC 13 Ultimate is maybe 2 inches tops. And I'm not going to be digging down for gold. The beaches that I detect on have been resanded recently. So there's an awful, everything is going to be fairly shallow that I'm going to be finding. And I'm coin shooting more than anything else on a beach. The background settings, I've got IF at 2 and beach stability at 3. My bottle cap is also set at 3, which is midway. GS at 0 and DT, deep target, once again set at 2, the same as on the field. Volume is the same as on field, so it's 4 and a audio gain of 4. Now tones, at the beach, I've gone 6 tone. There's an awful lot more background noise at the beach. You've got the noise of people there, you've got the wind, you've got the crash of the sea, squawking of the seagulls. So I like to hear differential tones. So I know if I'm digging up a pre-decimal or a decimal, if it's a 20p, if it's a 50p, if it's a 2p, yada yada. So it just 6 tones works for me at the beach. And then, so this, as I said before, the settings for that are fairly stock across the way. So let's set the volumes 3, and then everything else should be set at 10s. Yep. And tone breaks, again, is stock. So 1 to 10 is iron, then 7, 13, 19, 25, and 30. I won't go through the rest because they are set as a stock item that the Legend came with straight out of the box. So they are my go-to settings whilst I'm out detecting. As I said before, there is no set setting that is going to be the master of all. Okay, everything is just a baseline to start with, and you find your own preferences as how you like things to sound or react. When I get to a field or the beach, I do the standard look round discovery, use a mineralization check to see what the level of the ground contamination is like, and I adjust the machine accordingly. Never be afraid to play around with the settings. If you need to, you can always factory reset and start again. Okay, so that's what I use. If you've got any questions, please leave them below and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much, guys. Happy hunting.